What do the New Republic, orbital asteroids, Talon Card, Vorn Score, Nogri, and Mara Jade all have in common? Did you say the largely forgotten expansion to the 1997 classic FPS Jedi Knight called Mysteries of the Sith? Because that's what I'm talking about. But yeah, obviously whoever made this little gem from the days when expansion packs were basically mini sequels really loved the Thrawn books. There are references written into every scene and mission. I suspect they truly wanted to make a Mara Jade game but only had the money for an expansion of Jedi Knight, so they shoehorned Mara in alongside Kyle. But hey, I'm not complaining. Mara Jade was one of my favorite characters from the book, and she is criminally underused. This is the only game where she gets any kind of story development at all. As Emperor's Hand, Smuggler Captain, Jedi Knight, and Mrs. Luke Skywalker, her story would be perfect for an incredible game, but given where the Star Wars canon has gone lately, she's not likely to ever get one. This is the best we're going to get, so while it's far from perfect, let's enjoy it while we can.
I love this job.
This is too easy. Join me, and together we will restore the Sith to its former glory.
I knew I was gonna regret this.
The first thing you'll notice when you start a new game is that those glorious live-action cutscenes from Jedi Knight are gone. That's a shame. It would have been awesome to see Mara Jade get the same treatment as Kyle and Jan. Instead, the game opens with an in-engine cutscene with Mara training alongside Kyle, who's clad in all black, which isn't foreboding at all. Why is she training with Kyle Katarn? I don't know. In Legends, she trained on and off at the Jedi Academy on Yavin, but never took becoming a Jedi very seriously until she married Luke Skywalker. In fact, she kinda hated and mistrusted all Jedi, especially Luke. Regardless, here she is, all 12 polygons of her, sparring with Kyle because we've got to get her in here somehow. The lesson is cut short by blaring alarms. 2 asteroids have appeared in orbit over the base as part of an Imperial attack. Asteroids being used as siege weapons, that sounds familiar. That's right, in the Thrawn trilogy, the Empire released cloaked asteroids around Coruscant to isolate the planet and strike fear into the New Republic. So not exactly the same situation, but the moment I saw orbiting asteroids, I knew what they were going for. This is an homage, a love letter to the stories and characters that would come to define a generation of Star Wars, which is good, because otherwise it's kind of a mess.
What's going on?
If I had to summarize the main story of Mysteries of the Sith, it would be something like blah 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 Mara Jade. Okay, that's maybe a little harsh, but it really does feel like this game mostly asks, what if we took a bunch of stuff people love and smashed it all together randomly? You know, like a Marvel movie. The references are the point, and the enjoyment comes from recognizing stuff. There might have been an interesting story about Kyle falling to the dark side and Mara overcoming her past struggles to bring him back to the light. The last few missions seem to want to say that, and they are genuinely great missions from a story and design standpoint, which we'll get back to. But the setup, the characterization, the relationship, and the development isn't there. Instead, we get 3 basically independent story arcs before going straight into the finale. In the first arc, we play as Kyle destroying the orbiting asteroids while Mara stays behind and does nothing. Weird, but I guess they felt the need to include a Kyle Katarn section because this is Jedi Knight after all. It's a real missed opportunity though, because there's not even any interaction between Kyle and Mara during the whole time. They could have had Mara attacking one asteroid while Kyle took the other, leading to some teamwork and coordination between them, establishing their relationship. Or imagine if you got to play as Mara from the start, working alongside Kyle as an NPC. Maybe the technology and the time wasn't there for a full companion, but having one or the other show up throughout the mission would have done a lot to create some sense of why they are both there in the first place. Even a little banter over the comms would have been nice. Anyway, after the Imperials are defeated, Kyle runs off to some planet to check on this Sith temple, we don't really know what. So we finally get to play as Mara. Does it have anything to do with Kyle's findings, or the Emperor's plots, or her training as a Jedi? No. But it does give them a chance to reference her old life as a smuggler under Talon Card. She's sent to negotiate with some Hutt not named Jabba on behalf of the New Republic. But after bombing her way into his palace, he forces her to go steal some equipment from a rival before he'll make a, oh look, there's a Nogri, kill it! After chasing the rival down, she falls into a trap, is thrown into prison, and has to fight a Rancor to escape with the prize. All in a day's work. Next up, she's tasked with protecting a ship escorting a valuable Jedi holocron. You can probably guess what happens. Mara launches on a mission to recover the lost holocron, not because it has much of anything to do with the story, but because she's got nothing better to do than chase down pirates for fun and profit. After all, we're really just waiting on... what was it again? Oh right, Kyle Katarn. He's been gone a while, maybe we should check on him. So Mara heads off to Dromund Kaas to see if he's okay. This is the point where the story really begins. And ends. By far the most interesting and best design, the entire game could have been an extended version of this. And maybe it was supposed to be. For a game called Mysteries of the Sith, there have been surprisingly few mysteries or Sith up until this point. But here they are, on the totally not Dagobah world of Dromund Kaas. Where the first 3/4 of the game could be played like a classic Dark Forces shooter, Dromund Kaas gives some real use to your force powers and limits you to the lightsaber. You have to solve a whole new type of puzzle here to get past the statues with glowing eyes, duel living statues with your lightsabers, and watch out for deadly Vorn scores, the force-hunting predators from the books. When Mara finally gets to the mysterious Sith temple, she'll have to face her own worst enemy, her dark side. After what she went through in the last command, though, it's really not that big of a deal, honestly. More importantly, she discovers that Kyle has succumbed to the temple's temptations, and she has to chase him into its very heart in order to save him. Through twists and turns, tricky puzzles, and tough enemies, she finally confronts her master. The game presents you with a choice here, but it's a false one. There's only one path to take. Mara gives herself up instead of joining Kyle or striking him down, but he can't bring himself to kill her and instead returns to the light. That's it. That's the story. As video game stories go, it's one of them. A reasonable excuse to solve puzzles and slice up some bad guys. But as I said, it's not really about the story, sad as that may be. It's about the character. It's about Mara Jade. So how does she compare to her book version? Is this a worthy representation of the legendary character, or just another shallow reference?
I love this job.
First word that comes to mind about Mara Jade in the books is serious. This is a woman who wants to get things done. She's Card's second in command and always pushing against his more laid-back style. Blame the Emperor, I guess. She built her reputation around being his most competent and skilled agent, and she's still haunted by both her failure to save him and his final command she can't fulfill. She lightens up a bit over the course of the 2-book series, especially where it comes to Luke Skywalker, and learns to accept her limitations and reconcile her past, but she never loses that no-nonsense, cool operator style. That's what we love about her. She's smart, skilled, and extremely deadly while still being human, flawed in ways that force her to grow. In short, she's everything Rey wishes she could be. Mara Jade in Mysteries of the Sith, though, is more of a female Kyle Katarn, a fun-loving, gun-slinging mercenary type. Competent, yes. Deadly, yes. But also sassy, always ready with a quippy comment.
Pirates. I wonder if it's anyone I know.
Card would Adam shot. You keep this up and you might give yourself a good name.
They shouldn't leave these lying around. Somebody could get hurt.
Taking the action in stride as the New Republic sends her on various wild bantha chases. There's little sense of her past, her struggles, her old identity. Maybe it's understandable. It's only a video game after all, a hastily made expansion at that, and no one expects the kind of depth or character development you can get in a novel. Besides, you're playing a different Mara Jade at a different part of her life in a very different and limited set of circumstances. The nice thing about a video game is that you, the player, get some level of control over the action. You get to be the character, so you can play and imagine Mara Jade as whoever you want outside of a few cutscenes. Yeah, I wish they were a little more faithful to her character. I wish they had made her the more serious foil to Kyle's devil-may-care style. I wish she and Kyle got to interact more in general before the end. But I can't complain too much. As a kid, I was just happy to see her at all, and even now it's still fun to fire up that purple lightsaber, reminisce about the books, and imagine, in a different era, what might have been.